Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video about, once again, bad women's anatomy. Today we're starting off with a post which is less about anatomy and more with just like a misunderstanding of humanity in general, with a little handful of misogyny sprinkled in. Enjoy. Okay, so I was wondering if females are biologically wired to be able to unconditionally love their man, due to the fact that the female survival instinct is wired to find the best possible outcome of survival. The best possible outcome in nature would be a strong, valuable man who provides food, protection and safety, etc. So what does the woman love about him? And based on what do women choose their partners? Let's say a valuable, strong male, together with a woman that he makes her feel loved and happy, steady job and a lot of hobbies and interests, but interesting lifestyle, suddenly becomes a wreck. His life falls apart, becomes an alcoholic, loses his job, loses his poop, becomes depressed. Woman would eventually leave that man for the better. She would try to replace him with someone who can take care of her, provide for her, and make her happy and feel loved once again. Seen it hundreds of times. And it's reasonable, right? But it's not unconditional love! So my question is, women love under certain conditions. They love what a man can do for her, how he protects her, how she feels safe around him, how he makes her feel happy, and how he gives her lots of love, and just be there for her. But she can't love him just for being him. Therefore, unconditionally, male has to provide something in order for woman to love him. Therefore, unconditionally, male has to provide something in order for woman to love him. True or false? There is so much to unpack in this. I think the idea of unconditional love, especially amongst partners, is, to be frank, dangerous. The idea that you need to love your partner unconditionally, especially if you're a woman, is honestly, I think, something that abusive men will take advantage of. You should never love someone unconditionally. Love someone who deserves to be loved, who treats you with respect and treats you with dignity and doesn't hurt you. You don't owe someone love for any reason. Even like a mother loving their child or a father loving their child, I don't necessarily think it should be unconditional, because this is how you get parents who will stand by while their child abuses them or steals from them or takes advantage of them, or they end up covering up for the children when they do something horrible like hurt or rape or kill someone. I think all love to some degree is conditional, but I don't think it's conditional on monetary things and economic things like this guy thinks. He thinks the only reason a woman wants to be with a man is, like, what was it, to make her feel loved, and I think that's a fair one actually, but like provide for her, to take care of her and so on. Like, no. Most women these days can take care of themselves. I can take care of myself. Financially, I support myself. In looking for a partner, I don't want someone who's going to pay for stuff for me. I would like someone who's going to split a lot of the bills and stuff, but I don't want him to provide for me. I don't want someone who's going to look after me financially or economically or like physically. I don't want a provider, I want a partner. And I think a lot of people feel the same, and a lot of women especially feel the same. But also the idea that, like, you know, a woman just dumps a man at the first sign of him having any kind of like trouble or distress is incredibly problematic. Like, saying things like this is incredibly problematic, because no, when you love someone, you generally stand by them and help them through the tough times. And let's say he did become depressed, he did lose his job, you want to help as much as possible. Of course, I don't think it's fair to say to someone that you have to stay with them through this, and this. I think everyone has their limits, and it's important to recognize that. But also this idea of like perpetuating a narrative where, like, he says, oh, women will leave you if you become depressed and lose your job. Like, that's harmful to men as well. This is why there's so much stigma around mental health conditions in men, and why so many men don't seek help when they need it. It's a huge, huge problem. Everything about this argument and this view is problematic in so many ways, and I just, there's a lot to talk about. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one, actually. Tell me if I've missed something, because there's a lot wrong with this. This next post both makes me laugh and makes me very, very sad. I was locked out of Twitter for a whole day for asking a man if he thought abortions were free, after he claimed he knows women who get them twice a month. A medically impossible feat. And this is the point, isn't it? So many people who are pro-forced birth, who are pro-forced pregnancies, who are against abortion, who are against women having bodily autonomy, don't actually understand what abortion is. They don't understand pregnancy on like a scientific level and how the baby develops or how the fetus is developing or how the cells are dividing and so on. They don't understand these things. They just often shout hyperbolic things, they exaggerate a lot, they appeal to emotions, and so saying things like, you know, oh, I know women who have abortions twice a month. It's like, do you? Because how? How can a woman get pregnant twice a month? It's not how this happens. Let's say, crazy as this is, a woman gets pregnant and she doesn't want the baby, so she has an abortion. Like week 1 in the month, she has an abortion. She then, somehow 2 weeks later, her body bounces back and she's ovulating by week 2. And she gets pregnant again. And then 2 weeks later, she's probably not even gonna know that she's pregnant at that point. It's gonna take her at least probably another week for her to realize that she's missed her period, and it's a whole thing. So that whole process is like 5 weeks there. This is not how this works. Not how any of this works. Like, and that was a very, very condensed best/worst case scenario thing. That's not likely to happen at all. Next up, we have an article from The Sun. Don't judge me, I know, it's The Sun. Titled, Mum Furious as School Removes Toilet Doors and Tells Girls to Hold in Periods. I think I've told this story before, but Dan once asked me if I could wait until we got home, like, to just hold in my period, and I was like, are you kidding me? I was like, all I want to do is pop into Boots and buy some pads, and then go to the public loos, and he's like, oh, we have some at home, can you wait till we get there? I'm like, you realise you can't hold in your period like pee, right? It's just not how it works. That when that blood wants to come out, that blood is gonna come out, you know? Sorry, quite graphic. A mum has claimed her daughter's school removed the doors to its toilet blocks and allegedly told female pupils to hold in their periods during lesson time. The mum of 2 claims students at All Saints Academy in Weymouth, Dorset must provide a doctor's note if they wish to use the loo during class. And when they got back to school after the summer holidays, students were allegedly met with a bizarre lack of privacy as all the doors leading to their toilet block were allegedly missing. My daughter said, what about us girls when we have our period? If we have an accident and we need to get to the taps, not only have we got teachers walking past and students, but any visitors to the school. She said, we don't feel comfortable going to the bathrooms. She said, it's not school anymore, Mum, it feels like prison. In addition to the doors, the frustrated mum claims that kids must show a doctor's note in lessons if they want to use the loo, and she claims her daughter and her friends were once told by a teacher to hold in their periods. Just before my daughter finished year 8, one of the which is when you're like, what, I want to say 12, 13, I want to say. So just before my daughter finished year 8, one of the teachers said that when girls are on their periods, apparently they need to hold it in because they are not babies and should be able to hold their bladders. What kind of person is a teacher without knowing the basics of female anatomy? I'm literally shocked. Everything is wrong with this. Everything. Please discuss down in the comments. What would you do if your school had done this back when you were at school? Or if you have kids, like, what would you do if your kid's school did this? Because it's ridiculous. I remember my school at one point started locking the toilets in the afternoons, and if you needed to use the loo, you had to like ask in class, and the teacher might not let you go, but if you did, then you had to walk all the way across the reception, which sometimes was like all the way across the other side of campus, so like a 5-10 minute walk sometimes, especially like, God, if you're at the top of Saunderson, which was like 4 floors up, then you had to go all the way down, then you had to go through, and they'd lock this middle door, so you had to go all the way outside and round and then in, and then go to reception, and then they'd give you a key to one of the blocks, but you didn't know which one, so then you had to walk all the way back to the block, and then you had to go walk back to get a key, and then go back to your class. The whole thing could take like 20 minutes, just go pee. And that's if you're let out in the first place. It's just absolutely horrific. And because it was such an ordeal, like, and if you got caught out of class, you'd probably get stopped and you'd get in trouble and they'd like quiz you. And if you really needed to pee during that time, it's like a whole thing. So like sometimes I would just like hold in my pee and it was horrible. And you were like really uncomfortable and it really messed you up and yeah, I hated school. It gave me a lot of like anxiety issues actually about just peeing in general and public toilets. Yeah, it was bad. Yay, school! Next up we have possibly like the most horrific post in this lot. Bit of a content warning here. It's a little bit rapey and disgusting, so you may want to skip this one if that's going to be a little bit of a problem for you because it's not very nice at all. This person says, it's honestly really weird though. Sex feels way better when the woman isn't as aroused and her vagina is tighter. Like my ex, for example. At first she was nervous and as tight as a woman's jeans pocket. The longer we were dating, the more comfortable she got, and the looser, more relaxed she became, the worse penis in vagina sex felt. It's maybe one of the most revolting things I've ever heard. Basically saying sex feels better for me when the woman's uncomfortable. It's disgusting. For one, women, don't worry, he's in a minority, I'm pretty sure he's wrong. The more comfortable and relaxed you are during sex, the better it's going to feel for both of you, because you're going to be more lubricated, you're going to relax, you're going to enjoy it more. And let's be honest, for a man, sex isn't just about how tight the vagina is. There are lots of things that go into how good it feels, and a lot of it is the emotional connection between the person as well, or just how much you're each enjoying it and enjoying each other's bodies. This man is a minority, thankfully, and he's disgusting. Also, I don't understand how any decent, empathetic human being can enjoy anything if they know their partner's not comfortable. How he can get any enjoyment out of sex when he knows his partner was uncomfortable, nervous, not aroused is just beyond me. It's disgusting. I worry about him and his past and future partners. And on that disturbing note, I think that is where we are gonna end things today. This is why we don't just need to teach like the physical stuff about sex in schools, but we also need to be teaching emotional stuff, like about consent and boundaries and so on. Really important. But let me know your thoughts on this and all the posts we've looked at today. If you want to check out my other 2 videos on bad women's anatomy, I will leave them linked down in the description below. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. I can't wait to hear your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you all again really, really soon.